Hey everybody, welcome back for another cryptocurrency news article. I hope you're doing well. And have you been hearing what's going on in Japan? I know we're getting ETFs soon, but I'm talking about their currency. The yen collapses against Bitcoin, which does appreciate by more than 150% over the past year. But the Bank of Japan would do well to get rid of US debt right now. So, even though they got that ETF coming, which is pretty good, it's going to allow them to start collecting that Bitcoin. But yeah, they really do need to get rid of that US debt. But let's go over this article, learn a little bit more about it. So here we go. The JPY, or the yen, is at its lowest in over 40 years. We're now at 160 yen to a dollar. The yen is at its lowest since 1990. Hey, that's when the Sherpa was born. That's right. But it's down more than 30% since December 2021. The drop is even 50% since 2012, when dollar was worth 77 yen per dollar. Now, the cause is the rise in inflation in the United States, which distances the lowering of the Fed's interest rates. Now, the dollar is now appreciating since the reduction in rates is no longer certain. Moreover, Japan is an island with a few natural resources. More than 93% of energy and 60% of foodstuffs must be imported. Japan is totally dependent on oil imports, which is like 97%. So the rise in price per barrel translates into a weakening of the yen, states Sutomu Soma, Forex manager at Monex Tokyo, said. The situation in the Middle East is stoking fears of new surge in oil prices, which would prompt the Fed to raise its interest rates again, says Philip Wee, Forex manager at DBS Bank in Singapore. Now, unfortunately for the Japanese, it's unlikely that the BOJ will raise interest rates to give the yen some breathing space. Now, the country's public debt is too high, like 260% of GDP. The government cannot afford to pay interest. Now, the interest rate gap with the United States will therefore remain, preventing the yen from appreciating against the dollar. In return, this means that inflation in Japan will worsen unless saved by Bitcoin. So, yeah, guys, Bitcoin is going to be very, very important. We say this all the time. It's important. Get it while you can, because it is the lifeboat that's not just going to save you, but all these countries and all their other currencies. It's the savior. So get it while you can. But here's a tweet from Corey Clipston, or X Post. I won't call him X Post again. I gotta get more on it. But the Japanese yen looks absolutely tragic right now. Might want to sell yen for Bitcoin just in case it catches on. And yeah, cause see, look at this. It's skyrocketing up. That's not good. Now, sell US debt to stay afloat. Can they do that? Japan is the largest foreign holder of US Treasury bonds. The United States owes them $1,167 billion dollars. That's far more than China with its $775 billion. Now, Tokyo could easily strengthen the yen by shedding some of its dollar reserves, but that would be seen as a betrayal by Uncle Sam, who offers his protection against Japan's historic rival, China. Now, as Michael Saylor says, even if it's unspoken, the U.S. nuclear arsenal comes into play with nations buy treasury bonds. Now, all that being said, the Wall Street Journal reports that the Bank of Japan, the BOJ, intervened this Monday to stem the fall. It has undoubtedly sold some U.S. Treasury bonds. Today, 57% of the global foreign exchange reserves is at $7,965 billion, and they are invested in U.S. debt. And if the BRICS are increasingly shunning it, the U.S. allies, the vassals, have no other choice but to pay up. Now, we will see for how long the Japanese agree to suffer so much inflation in the meantime, but the fall in the yen makes exports more competitive, which could help Japan regain its position in electronics. The world's third largest economy once produced more than half of the electronic chips sold worldwide, Toshiba, Nintendo, etc., versus only 10% today. So that's a big difference. Now, it is declared a goal to increase its semiconductor exports to more than $108 billion by 2030, thus tripling the 2020 figure. Now, in short, Japan is betting on on the technological excellence, and seems ready to sacrifice the purchasing power of the Japanese to achieve it. But there is a snag. So we got Bitcoin versus the dollar. The problem for Japan is that by financing the US debt, it is also financing a serious contender. The United States also intends to become a heavyweight in the semiconductors again as well. Now, their market shares has gone from 37% to 12% over the last 30 years. In contrast, China now accounts for 18% of the global supply, and its semiconductors are not the latest generation yet. But the technological gap is closing rapidly. Thus, the US Congress passed the CHIPS and Science Act in 2022 to catch up. The act allocates $53 billion budget to the Department of Commerce to revitalize Americans' position to the semiconductor research and manufacturing. Japan is therefore committing harakiri by financing a director competitor in the technological race. It will also be very difficult to compete with the Americans as long as they benefit from this exorbitant privilege. Now, that is why nations would be better off keeping their foreign exchange reserves in Bitcoin rather than in US Treasury bonds. Japanese savers who followed this strategy do not regret it. Bitcoin is up 1,150% against the yen over the last 5 years. So that is that's some good numbers right there. So again, the Japanese people that invested in Bitcoin in the last 5 years, yeah, they are not bummed at all because again, they're up over 1,000x or 1,000%. But yeah, they maximize your contributing experience with our return program. No, that's just an ad, but no, that's it for this article. But yeah, no, so guys, this is going to happen a lot more places for those relying on the US debt and everything. So just be on the lookout, guys. Get Bitcoin. That's all I can say. So I hope you enjoyed this article read through. And if so, smash that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. And until next time, the Crypto Sherpa is out.